Good morning. Happy Thursday. My name is Rachel Allen, and I am here in Tucson, Arizona, and I am a lifestyle coach. And so, what that looks like and what that means for me is that over the course of 20 some odd years, I've been rewriting the script. And in that rewriting of the script, I've been able to rewrite a life. And that life now, today, as is it evolved. It's a life of freedom, a life that I choose to live. And that is, when I think about how far the shift or the transformation has brought me, it's nothing but encouraging because I know I'm not done. I know I get to continue to evolve, change, redirect my thinking. And so thank you all for the positive feedback on the last videos. So appreciate the support because it's always so humbling when I go into these things because I don't know what I'm going to say. I just know that there's a message, and my message is real, and sometimes it's much more raw than I anticipated. One of my viewers, sweet woman that I know, actually said, "Can you talk on mindfulness?" And so mindfulness in a broad stroke is a huge topic, right? And so some people think of it as the meditation practice. Some think of it as yoga. Some of us think of it as, some people live, on the mountaintops, choosing to declare, rewrite, become more aware or enlightened. And so I'm going to share about my adventure into mindfulness and rewriting. Briefly, what I touched on in the last video was my home of origin, and God bless I'm still in touch with God bless my mom. We talked about her, she's a boomer, and so the age of secrecy, right? And so there was a lot of things that were undiscussed, and we didn't talk about a lot of things as I grew up, and there was a lot of dis-ease and disorder in my life. And so kind of not having the process, and I'm an X generation, so living alone or living a lot in my mind, rather than having clear communication, I created an incredible life of anxiety, stress, worry. And like I briefly touched on, I developed panic disorder. I started having panic attacks in my mid-teens and was too afraid to talk to a therapist about it because I thought something was really, really wrong with me. And it wasn't until I was dating a gentleman, and we were talking about, I was dating my boyfriend, and we were talking about symptoms, and some things came up in a conversation, and he had mentioned having panic attacks, and it was the first time in my life that I was able to describe what my symptoms were. And that was not I'm not going to say it was the beginning, nor was it the middle, nor was it the end of my panic attacks. But those panic attacks began to and continue to evolve and limit my life to a point to where I stopped living. In terms of I couldn't drive a car, and going to malls or larger public places. A girlfriend of mine still teases me, or used to tease me when we worked together, about being on escalators or in elevators. It was always just this thought of unknown that used to just freak me out. And life is all about unknown, right? And so I sought medical care. I did. I tried using traditional prescription drugs, and it seemed to elevate it, and it created a greater anxiety for me. And so I know for the medical teams out there, they're going to say you were just given the wrong dose, whatever that is. I just choose to believe today for me on this side of it, because I've walked through that and reclaimed a lot of my life, or most of my life, that it wasn't mine to do in terms of using traditional medicine. And so bless those who use that works for you. Psychiatry, use it. For me, for this body, it did not. I'm hypersensitive. And so, like I said, my anxiety continued to progress, and to, I'm going to say, embarrassing levels. If I were to describe some of my panic disorders and the phobias that I created for myself, it was quite daunting. And it wasn't until after my son was born that I began really being aware of to what degree I was living a limited life when I had a panic attack actually with him in the car. And my husband at that time, well, I was married at the time, he said, you need to figure this out. And so I was blessed. I had a family member that was visiting who had been living in Europe, and we started seeking holistic and alternative medicine. And that's really what began my adventure into living a more mindful life, because it wasn't just the component of food, nutrition, and balancing the body. It had a lot to do with my thinking and becoming much more conscious. And so how this all ties into mindfulness is I was not aware, and now, of course, like the Greg Bradens and the Bruce Liptons and the Joe Dispenzas have the evidence that says that my thoughts create my emotion. And until I become aware of what I'm feeling, can I begin to backtrack to what I was thinking. And so a book that I wrote by Dr. Leigbold, who talks about the monkey mind thinking the thought, and then all of a sudden the emotion kicks in, right? The way the brain is created mentally and emotionally, was I able to begin to really pause and slow myself down in terms of saying, I'm going to become mindful of what I'm thinking, and I get to deconstruct the thoughts that no longer serve and begin to reconstruct the scenarios that are better serving. And so it became not just, well, first of all, it was a necessity, right? Because my anxiety had gotten to such a place in terms of phobia. I was chronically depressed. I could not seem to get myself out of the depression and the anxiety spiral. And that staircase is not it's not a fun one to be in. Years past, I had a dear friend, Nero, who was here in Tucson, and he was like, there's nothing like being on a long stretch of road and being in the mental loop. And for those who know real anxiety, and I'm not talking like, somebody said, oh, I get sweaty palms. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the phobias that really just cut me off from life. And there was no way to reclaim freedom other than stepping back into life. And that's the I'm going to say, the word task keeps coming to mind, so I'm going to say that word, the task, because I had to confront every one of my fears in a mindful way, which meant being present to the discomfort and beginning to rewrite the script. So mindfulness for me today is about being as present as I can to the moment. It's about being present to what I'm feeling, and then realizing that if it's a feeling that I like, I get to be grateful for what's present. And if it's a feeling that is bringing challenge to me, it's how can I rewrite this? And so my life has literally been, fast forward, I just turned 50. Bless 50, and I started having panic attacks in like I said, my mid to late teens. So I'm going to say consciously about 23 years of, actually 25 years of rewriting the script. And so today my life is once again, that discipline of mindfulness has encompassed yoga. I love Bikram yoga. It has encompassed being able to sit in my own body in a quiet time of meditation. It has been able to evolve into mindful eating and mindful exercise. I love to run and to chant while I'm running, especially on a long run. I love half marathons. So it's evolved into everywhere in my life being as present as I possibly can, being present with my grandson, being able to rewrite some of the patterns that I had with my son as a wee one when I was still distracted and overcoming the anxiety. So my whole world today is about being as mindful as I possibly can, so that I can, A, be aware of the freedoms and the power of choice, and B, communicate that to the individuals that I work with, and C, be the example of that. Because what I know is that everybody has an area of their life that they are maybe balking at in terms of, can I really be present to this? Can I really rewrite this script? And the only way to get there is by sitting in and being present to the discomfort of what is. Because until I can acknowledge what is, I can't even begin to, I know I can forward future vision quest, if you will, but I also get to acknowledge what I have created for myself in terms of thought and in terms of emotion, so I can detangle it. I always think of those tight little knots where you have to sit and kind of mentally and physically massage it just to get loose enough to unleash it. And that has been my life. And like I said, sitting here today, just incredibly grateful for the panic that was my life, because I know that it is what has encouraged me to rewrite everything in my life, because I can always tell today whether I'm moving in the direction of something that I am joyful and present and is serving, or if I'm moving in away from that centered awareness of self, of, well, I'm going to say higher self, or God self, God source. So with that, long video today. Just really grateful for the inquiry. I always say send an inquiry. Message me if you have a topic that you're curious about, something that I can support you with, and always open to feedback. Blessings to you all, and just keep being present. Be present to what you're thinking, be present to what you're feeling, because they're absolutely connected. There are no mistakes. And we get to rewrite the script in any time. Either continue to add to the script that we're enjoying, or we get to dissolve the script that no longer serves. And with that, I bid you adieu. I hope you have a fantastic Thursday and the rest of your moving into the weekend. Every day is a weekend in my world, so just blessed to be here, to be present. Again, my name is Rachel Allen. If you have any questions, always feel free to message on Facebook. You can send me an email at i.l.c rachelallen@gmail.com. Sounds complicated, right? i.l.c rachelallen@gmail.com, and that stands for Integrative Lifestyle Coach, Rachel Allen. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.